And Bill Murray thought he had it rough. So Returnal is a third-person action game telling the story of a space explorer stuck in a time loop on a strange world. What's up, guys, and welcome to my official review of the newest PlayStation exclusive, Returnal. This was actually a game that I was not really looking that much forward to. I wasn't really impressed by the trailer. Seemed interesting, but didn't really sell me on it. And the closer it got to the release date, the more buzz that I heard, the more early praise that I heard, the more questions I was getting on Twitch while streaming things like Far Cry. They were like, when are you gonna play Returnal? And so I decided to give it a shot, and I am here to tell you that this is yet again another kick-ass Sony PlayStation game. But before I get too deep into telling you why this game is awesome and whether or not you should buy it, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Before the end of this review, I'm going to take a minute to tell you what Skillshare is, what they have to offer you, and what I can do to help you save money on a membership. So be sure to check that out later on in the review. But starting right off with the positives for Returnal, the main thing for me is that I really do enjoy this whole live, die, repeat time loop, death loop cycle. This is the first game of this type that I have played. I don't know if there's been a lot of games of this subgenre that I've just kind of missed, or maybe there's been a lot of them on PC, but this is the first time I've played a game that the entire concept is continuously trying to better yourself on these runs, trying to survive as long as you can, and if you screw up and die, you go all the way back to the beginning. On paper, that sounds terrifying. That sounds like old school Sega Genesis Nintendo level of difficulty, but I think that they find a great way of kind of balancing the challenge, the difficulty, and the ultimate reward of this concept. Essentially, the game starts off, you play this character Celine, who is a space explorer. You crash land on this strange planet, and very quickly you find out that there are these different alien beings that are trying to kill you. And so you have this third-person action shooter extravaganza where you're going around trying to ward off all of these enemies, trying to slowly piece together why you are stuck in this world, why you are stuck in this time loop, what happened, all of these questions. And if you get a little bit too crazy, if you take on a boss a little bit too early, if you don't quite level yourself up the right way that you should have before you walk into a specific room, you will get decimated, and then it's right back to that crash site that you go. There's absolutely no load screens, there's no load times, you just die, you have the little wake up scene, and then you are right back into action again. And while there will certainly be times whenever you get extremely frustrated, or you make a simple mistake and then you die because of it, or whatever happens, and then you have to lose hours of progress on this run, there's frustration that comes along with that, but there's also some serious addiction to just wanting to, oh, you're not going to get me this time, I'm trying again. And when you finally get past a boss, when you finally get to another biome, when you finally blow through a challenge room that kicked your ass 2 or 3 times, there's such a level of reward. Very similar to the Dark Souls games. I don't think it's nearly as difficult as those, but just like with the Dark Souls games or Bloodborne, you have an immense amount of difficulty, but when you finally triumph, it's unprecedented how proud you feel of yourself as a gamer. And going along with that concept, I just think that the action in this game is pretty awesome. It's fluid, it's seamless, the controls work great, and this is a game that really shows off that haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers of the DualSense controller, something that is quickly becoming the main reason to get a PS5. I would have never thought the main flagship of a next generation console was going to be the controller, but this game really does show off the potential. I mean, you'll be running through a rainstorm and you'll just feel these tiny little subtle droplets on your controller that just immerses you right in. The adaptive triggers, like the aiming button on L2, if you press it halfway in, that is your aiming reticle, but if you push it all the way in, that switches your gun over to your alt fire. And it sounds like it would be weird to try to figure out how do I press it halfway, but when you have the DualSense controller, it actually has a bit of a clicking block there whenever games want you to have that, and it's fucking awesome. There's also subtle rumble features in here where whenever your alt fire is recharging, when it's fully recharged, there's a certain vibration that will give you a physical indication that you are now ready to kick ass once again. And again, this is all just immersion. This is stuff that I never would have thought would have been something that PlayStation would really hone in on, is this innovation of this controller. And you get into the actual action of the game, the shooting, the dodging, the running around. I liken the action to this game as like a third-person Doom. To me, that's what feels the most at home as far as describing how the gunplay is, how the different battles are, how these arenas are. It's really like walking into an area in Doom and just a bunch of enemies spawn and you're just zipping around, running around, trying to stay alive, taking out them individually, trying to have some kind of a strategy amidst all this frenzied chaos. And it is so much fun. And I love the enemy variety that Returnal gives you. I mean, whenever you first walk in, you have like these slug monsters that have these tentacles, very reminiscent of the aliens on Edge of Tomorrow. Go figure, same concept. And then you get these like plant monsters that are these giant hulking behemoths that shoot webbing at you, and they'll literally just dissolve into nothing and pop up somewhere else in the map trying to flank you. There's machinery based enemies at some point, and even the bosses, they kind of, going back to Doom, they have like a demonic alien vibe to them, and every single one of them so far that I have encountered have a totally different play style required to take these bitches down. And going along with enemy variety, there's also a lot of weapon variety here, and what I like about Returnal is that it really does encourage you to figure out what your play style is. Are you somebody that likes to stay off in the distance and shoot with some kind of a carbine rifle or a rocket launcher? Are you somebody that likes to keep it simple with just a sidearm pistol and just go at it that way? Do you like getting up close and personal with a shotgun? It has a lot of different weapon varieties, and you're encouraged to try out each one because the more you use these weapons, the more you level up, the more powerful the weapons get, the more powerful weapons you will eventually find in these worlds. Your weapon proficiency is what they call it. But you really are rewarded for figuring out how you like to play. Like me personally, my favorite gun in the entire game is a carbine. It's a perfect mix of a machine gun and also a rifle. It gives me best of both worlds, or if I want to stand back and try to take out a couple of these people when I first walk into a room without exposing myself to the chaos, I can do that. Or if I'm right in the thick of the shit, I can just start blasting everybody and I have plenty of ammo to handle that situation. And much like Metroid games, this really does encourage you to keep going and unlocking certain things. It might feel like the game would get repetitive after a while with this whole live, die, repeat concept, but once you get past certain bosses, you always get something in return. There's a boss where you eventually get, you know, this grappling hook to where you can access certain rooms that you were not able to access before. Pretty early on in the game, you get this sword where you can cut away at vines, and you know, you could take out certain things in the world that were blocked off to you before. It really does encourage you to kind of go back and explore more, and there's always some kind of a reward for getting farther in the game that changes up the gameplay itself, so it always feels fresh. And finally, as far as how well the game performs technically, does this feel like a true next generation game? The graphics and the 3D audio in here are incredible. This is the first game, you know, except for maybe Demon's Souls arguably, that was built from the ground up to be a PlayStation 5 game. Thus far, we have just gotten a lot of ports. We've gotten a more HD upgrade for like Spider-Man Miles Morales, things like that. But this is the first game that we've experienced so far that was built for the PlayStation 5's hardware. It was built for the DualSense controller. The graphics are incredible. It's vivid as hell, tons of different colors, there's particle effects, there's tons of different lights, all of the worlds are fully realized. I mean, you have some that's like a red Mars planet straight out of Total Recall or Doom. You have ones that's like this overgrown vegetation infestation where everything is green and sticky and you can just kind of feel like this hot, humid sense when you're walking through it. All of the different enemies look awesome. Graphically, the game is absolutely astounding, but even more impressive than that, which again is a surprise to say, is the 3D audio. Now, it works well with the soundbar, but I've done a lot of Twitch streams where I have my headset on, and that's where you really get to see the 3D audio, or hear the 3D audio shine, to where you will be in this room filled with chaos. And because it's an over-the-shoulder game, you don't have like this 360 view. It's not like an over-the-top view where you can always see everything coming. You hear things coming. You'll see everything in front of you, and you'll hear an enemy in the background, and that will prompt you to be like, oh, Jesus, and just turn around and start blasting things. And the way that they have created that 3D audio to really immerse you, to feel like you are in this world and completely surrounded by these enemies, it's perfection. Now, there are a couple things about the game that I'm a little on the fence about and don't quite love on the level of everything that I have completely praised thus far. But before I get into that, I want to tell you about the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. I've talked about them a few times, but Skillshare is an online learning community. It's not simply a collection of tutorials. It's not like a how-to guide. It's not like a whatever you want for dummies type website. This is literally a community of people that go in that want to learn certain things, that want to acquire certain skills and want to share those skills, hence the name. If you want to learn something along the lines of gardening or masonry or drawing or cooking, anything like that, any hobby that you want to advance your scope on, there is something there. There is a community for that. There is instructionals for that. Like I've been checking out things as far as low budget filmmaking and photography, trying to up my skills for everything that I do on this channel every single day and maybe expand my scope to doing something beyond YouTube one day. But whatever you want to check out, there is a community of people that have the same interests, the same drive, and the same curiosities that you do, and it really does help you stay engaged with learning these things. It's not as simple as just scrolling through and you have to keep yourself accountable. There's people that you can become friends with or become peers with that will drive you to go back and continue to learn these things within Skillshare. And in a time like today, which thankfully feels like it's finally starting to get back to normal somewhat, there's a lot more time at home than we have ever experienced before. And what better time to utilize that downtime, that at-home time, but to better yourself, to learn certain things that maybe you felt like you didn't have the time to do before. Skillshare allows you to do that easily, quickly, and keep coming back. So for everybody interested, be sure to check out the video description down below because I have an exclusive link that's going to grant the first 1,000 people to click it to get a exclusive discount on a Skillshare premium membership, which typically runs just under $10 a month. So it's going to save you money, and it's also going to let them know that I drove you there. So be sure to check out that link. Don't just type in Skillshare.com. Save yourself some money by clicking that exclusive link down below. So definitely check out Skillshare. Let me know how you guys like it if you do become a member. Thank you, Skillshare, as always, for being an awesome sponsor for this channel and for this video. And now back to Returnal. Moving on to the mixed aspects, and I'm only saying that it's mixed because I'm still not quite at the end of the game. Typically, I try to wait until I've experienced everything the game has to offer, but I feel like this is a game that I'm going to be peeling back the onion on for hours and hours. I've currently got about 15 hours of play on it. I might have 40 hours of play on this thing before I really feel like I've uncovered everything. And going along with that is that I'm not quite sure how well the actual storytelling is in this game. If you're somebody that really prefers story and plot and immersion and character arcs and things like that, which I'm definitely one of those people, Returnal isn't necessarily so far that type of game. The action is definitely the forefront. The story is much more in the background. It's something that you slowly just see little glimpses of. You have these little sequences where you see your house in this world, almost like some kind of a weird oasis, like this illusion that's just sitting there, and you go through, and each time you go through, you get a little bit more context to maybe what is possibly going on with Celine, what possibly drove her to get to this planet, and what might be going on with this death loop. And the more that I've gotten through the game, the more interesting the story is getting. So I'm pretty sure by the time I've experienced everything this game has to offer, this will slide back into the positives. But just on the off chance that it is very much in the background and something that you kind of are left more to interpret than is just given to you, I'm a little mixed on how the story is being told. And the other mixed aspect for me is the difficulty level and the way that they don't allow you to have any kind of a progress or checkpoint or a save point during these runs. Thus far, I'm totally fine with that. I haven't been playing any other games. The rest mode on my PS5 has not messed up once. Apparently, a lot of people are having issues with that. I guess I got lucky. But if you're doing a run, you are not able to save. So you have the choice of quitting and restarting all the way back to the beginning if you want to play a different game, if you want to leave, if the power goes out, if there's a malfunction, anything like that. Or you have to sit there and play all the way through in one sitting until you get to the end of a run, which, when you're proficient with the game, could take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. That's a big ask of some people, and that's why you have to know what kind of gamer are you. Are you somebody that's going to get engrossed in that challenge and you're going to enjoy doing these runs and you're going to sit there and you're going to be there for the long haul? Or are you somebody that just likes to play maybe 20, 30 minutes at a time and don't necessarily have the best luck with leaving your PS5 on rest mode, or don't necessarily want to just play Returnal until you've beaten it and you want to switch it off and play other things? That might be a detractor for you. That definitely ups the challenge factor. There's rumors out there that might eventually add some kind of a save or a checkpoint. I don't know how I feel about that. I think that kind of kills the concept of the game, but just know who you are. If that sounds like it's gonna piss you off, it probably is. If it sounds like it's gonna be fun, it probably is. But overall, guys, I have had an absolute blast with this game. This is one of the biggest surprises that I have had thus far over the past couple of years, really. I didn't have any hope for this game whatsoever, and it's quickly become one of my favorite games that I've played on the PS5 thus far. Maybe even my #1 game. We'll see by the end of it. But for a 3D third-person action shooter, I think that it's absolutely flawless for showing the showcase ability of the PS5's graphic ability, 3D audio ability, and the way that the DualSense controller really does immerse you through the rumble and through the feeling of what you are doing. Absolutely perfect showcase of that. Intriguing storyline, very cool concept with the live, die, repeat. Challenge, gonna be up to you. I've enjoyed it so far. I've had my frustrations, but I also love that victory, that feeling of triumph at the end. I recommend the absolute hell out of this game, but know who you are. So if you're intrigued with the live, die, repeat concept of Returnal and you like sci-fi action games, this is a must-buy for the PS5. But if you're somebody that does not really like that type of challenge and just want to dip in and out of a game, might not be for you. But for me, this is easily one of the best games that have come for the PS5 thus far. So what do you guys think of Returnal? Are you having a blast with this? Are you breaking controllers left and right and punching holes in the wall with the difficulty? Let me know what your thoughts are. And is this the best game in this whole live, die, repeat? I think they call it a roguelite. Is that the subgenre? Is this the best game of this type, or is there one even better that I should check out? Let me know that down below. And are you guys ready for Resident Evil Village? Because it's less than a week away, baby. Please let me know down below what your guys' thoughts are on Returnal. Be sure to check out Skillshare. Check out the video description below. Click that link, save yourself some money, and join the community over there. And as always, guys, like and share this video. Hit the subscribe button so you can check out my further reviews and check out everything else that I've talked about. I've reviewed quite a few games on the PS5 thus far, and I plan to keep on trucking along with that through the rest of this year. And hopefully whenever an Xbox Series X comes available, I'll be able to talk about that too. So thank you guys for watching as always, and remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.